Hi, I'm Nate Gilbert, attorney in San Antonio, Texas, and I want to address a question I get a lot about Wyoming LLCs. You may have heard of a Wyoming LLC or using a Wyoming LLC when you form your Texas LLC or your Texas Series LLC. You might have had friends or colleagues that talk about using that Wyoming LLC as the manager or member or owner of a Texas LLC. The reason for that is anonymity. Now, I address anonymity versus privacy in some other videos and why I kind of recommend one over the other or vice versa. Wyoming LLCs allow us to form a truly anonymous Texas LLC. So that Wyoming LLC that you form in the state of Wyoming is truly anonymous. So Wyoming is one of the few states that allows for anonymous LLC formation. If you look up on the Wyoming Secretary of State website, the LLC name, you will not see the owner information listed alongside it. Whereas in Texas, if you look up the LLC, PLLC, Series LLC, whatever it is, you look that information up on the Secretary of State website, you will be able to see the individual manager or owner's name on the Secretary of State website, publicly available. Forming in Wyoming an LLC allows you to use that Wyoming LLC that is truly anonymous as the manager or managing member of the Texas LLC or Texas Series LLC. That way, when you look up on the Texas Secretary of State website, the only manager that is displayed would be the Wyoming LLC that you formed in Wyoming. Then if you take that Wyoming LLC name, look it up in Wyoming, you would not be able to see the owners of that particular Wyoming LLC. So it allows you to have that truly anonymous version of a Texas LLC, even though in Texas we don't have that capability of doing a truly pure Texas anonymous LLC. One way to do that is through a Wyoming LLC or a trust, but that's a different discussion. So using that Wyoming LLC does come with a few different caveats that I like to inform clients about. Is if you have that Wyoming LLC in Texas and you are using it as a manager or an owner of a Texas LLC, then you're going to run into some issues there when you are trying to make distributions, right? So distributions can only go to owners or members of the LLC. That way it needs to go through the Wyoming LLC and then to the individual owners. Or you might run into things where the Wyoming LLC in Texas needs to be registered as a foreign entity doing business in Texas. That is a hefty filing fee. It's $700 for an LLC formed in a different state to do business in Texas and register as such with the Secretary of State. A lot of people forego that. I don't really recommend it. I recommend filing it just because, hey, let's get that out of the way. Let's do it right. Let's do it the right way the first time. So get that out of the way, do that, file as a foreign entity doing business in Texas if you have that Wyoming LLC for anonymity purposes in Texas. That's something that I always like to tell clients about. But those are a couple little drawbacks to using a Wyoming LLC, but some people value that anonymity. So those are your options when you're talking about Wyoming LLC, when you're talking about a Wyoming LLC as a member or manager or managing member of the individual LLC in Texas. Now, a manager of an LLC does not need to be a member. So you can have the Wyoming LLC set up as the manager of your LLC, but then not as a member. So I could form a Wyoming LLC, have it listed as the manager with the Secretary of State's office. If you look up my LLC on the Secretary of State's website, you'll see the Wyoming LLC information and none of mine. Well, in that instance, I can also make the LLC not have the Wyoming LLC as a member. I could be the sole member of that, and it kind of eases things on the distribution side. So that's one thing to consider as well. If you're considering doing this, I would definitely reach out to an attorney, speak with an attorney about this and forming your LLC correctly, having that Wyoming LLC as the anonymous manager or managing member for your LLC. There are some things you need to take into consideration, and working with a qualified Texas attorney to do that is definitely recommended. So just wanted to cover that as far as Wyoming LLCs and their use for LLCs in Texas.